Okay, so this is a view of this profile. I'll start again. So we're going to be looking at human design, and in this human design chat we are looking at the science of the aura, because human design is the science of the aura. This particular chat is a manifesting generator. Now, as a manifesting generator, your aura type is open and enveloping. It's a large aura that's open, and that when people are in it, they can feel it. Manifesting generators have this really sparkly love of life, this being lit up and enjoying life, and everybody can feel that when they are in alignment and they are loving the life that they live and really having this thirst and this enjoyment for life. Manifesting generators are essentially generators. A cool part of their type is being a generator, but they have manifesting capabilities. So there's like a hybrid of the manifestor and the generator. There are a few elements towards the generator that bring the manifestation in. And in this chart, this is the pure manifesting generator, because we have in the circle down here, which we will go into, which is the red, the coloured red square, and going up into the throat, which is the brown square. So a manifesting generator can speak things into existence in the same way as a manifestor when it's coming from that sacral power. So manifesting generators, being a manifesting generator, you are designed to move fast. You, from this sacral core, and your type is a manifesting generator. Your authority, which is essentially how you make decisions, is a sacral authority type. And the circle is like this power force, this battery pack. So like a generator, a manifesting generator can go. And sometimes there is the assumption that you can keep going and keep going and keep pushing and never burn out, but that isn't the case. You have this thirst for life and this thirst for knowledge and this capacity to keep going, but only if it's in alignment to you and what you want. If you are just continually going on things that are out of alignment, and when I'm talking about being out of alignment, I'm talking about things that aren't necessarily for you, that you are doing from a should or a people pleaser. There is a capacity to people please when being a manifesting generator, because you know that you can do all of the things, and sometimes you think doing all of the things is easier than getting other people to do things that aren't a hell yes for you, or saying yes to something that isn't a yes. And that isn't the case and could lead to burnout. So manifesting generators really have this capacity to absorb knowledge and to keep going. Generators will generally find something that they love, and they will keep going and they will keep going and keep going until they master it. You obviously have the capacity to do that as a manifesting generator, but it isn't in alignment, because manifesting generators are designed to move. So you may have had a reoccurring pattern in your childhood of loving something and going in and doing it, and then feeling this pull towards somewhere else and then going to do that. And that's actually how you are designed to live your life. When that's a body aligned pull to pivot, can't say the word pivot without doing the Ross pivot, you are designed to move. A manifesting generator is designed to follow that pull and go where the energy takes them, as long as it's where the energy takes them and not where they think they should go or trying to please somebody else. So as a manifesting generator, you really have this beautiful open aura that when people are in, like, they can feel it, but they are feeling where you are at. So if you are doing something that lights you up, that fills you with fire, that is a hell yes, a holy fire hell yes for you, they're going to feel that in your aura. They're going to want to be around you. They're going to get on board. It's going to be like, yeah, I want to be in your energy. And you've probably heard that a lot. Like, I need to see you. I need to spend time in your energy again, because you will literally make people feel fantastic when they are around you. And with the power of the sacral, that sacral power from the generator, but obviously you're a manifesting generator, so there's a little bit of a nuance there. But that sacral battery pack means that when you are aligned, you are like, yes, I'm ready. Let's go. And people can feel that and they want to get on board with that. So it really is a physical pull. But when you are pushing and going for the sake of it, when it's not an alignment for you, This is often called the not self in human design. And the not self for you is frustration. When you feel frustrated, that's a really good signal that something isn't working for you. That can also be felt in your aura. So auras are this beautiful, gorgeous thing. And as a manifesting generator, you've got a really open and enveloping aura, but that aura can get filled. And you are filling it with things when you're saying yes to things or where you're putting your energy. And if your aura is becoming filled with things that don't light you up, your aura is not lit up. It's full of things that are shoulds and woulds and coulds and pleasing others instead of pleasing self. So guess what people can feel when they're in your aura? And that's happening, they're feeling that frustration. And sometimes for me, that frustration can be a little bit of resentment because it's doing things that are not lighting me up and filling my capacity with things that aren't aligned and don't make me feel good. So when that happens, people can feel that. They can feel that frustration, that little bit of resentment, and it doesn't feel nice. So you don't want to fill your aura up with things that are not designed for you. Manifesting generators are like these really time bending, because you move so fast, love of life, like essentially loving life is what you are here to do. And if you aren't loving what you're doing, you're going to go into frustration. The circle is a really powerful, important part of that. That's how you are designed to make decisions. And again, as I said, the circle is this little red square at the bottom. And the sacral is where you should decide from. It is your authority. It's a very physical experience. It's the center of all life. It's a motor center. It's the huge battery pack. Like people who have the sacral have this powerful life force energy within them that you can create from. But it's supposed to be playful. It's supposed to feel good. It's supposed to be pleasurable. And if it isn't and you are forcing, you can absolutely 100% force. You can fake it in the circle, but it won't feel good. And people will feel that that's being faked, and you will feel like that's being faked, and you'll feel that frustration and that resentment. So it's really, really important as a manifesting generator who has a defined circle to really know your desires and what true desire, aligned desire, feels like, and how you can bring that into the world in a really playful way, how you can create from that sense of like childlike, yes, 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 and move from there. And it responds to energy and it responds to the outside world. The circle and having the circle as authority is really, really important because we need that response. And when I first learned about human design, I was taught and thought that response could be internal, but it isn't. It's an external response. Obviously, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it in your circle. It's going to light you up, and it's going to be like, yes, I'm on board for this. I'm ready for this. But it's to something external. So if you are, and this one as a content creator, my most powerful content comes in response to something else. I'll read something and it will spark something within me. It'll be like, yes. And it will just flow. It feels fantastic. And the words, there is no forcing there at all. It just comes forth. And I feel that when I write it, and then the response is completely different. But if you are deciding or wanting to make a decision, you really need, first of all, that like sacral yes, this is for me. But then you want the response as well. Because for a manifesting generator, you really need to try on what you were making a decision about and try on that response. So for a manifesting generator who has a sacral authority and who moves really fast, sometimes you can move so fast that people can't keep up with you. And they're like, where's she now? What's she doing? And it just feels a little bit much. So when you try things on and when you inform them about what you're doing, it just slows that process down for others to get on board with it. Now, when you're making a decision for yourself, the trying it on is almost like putting it out there and seeing if you really feel the energy of it. So if I was creating a new program and I got that circle hit of like, right, yes, this program is really aligned to what I want to put out. It feels incredible. I really, really want to do it. I'll try it on by writing a post. I'm really thinking about creating this new program. Pop the post down. And then when people come back and respond to what I've put out there, I will feel the response in my body, whether that's a right for me right now and whether it's time to go. Or I might decide that I really want to do this program. And this is how I've kind of self-sabotaged on myself in the past as a manifesting generator. I'll have had this incredible idea, this idea to create something, put it out there. And then I would go online and I would see all these people suddenly pop up that I wouldn't usually see doing what I was about to go out there and do. In the past, I would have taken that as, oh, that's not for me. I'm not supposed to do that. I don't want to look like I've copied, yada, 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 all the stories in my head, when actually that is a confirmation. That is something external to me saying to me, yes, do it. This is right. The time is now. Get it done. Then I would check in my body. Is this right? Is this the right time for me? And do it from there. So your sacral is a really important part of how you make decisions, how you move through the world, and a checking of how aligned you are to whatever you are doing. Because if you're filling that aura with things that aren't meant for you, then you're blocking the capacity of what you can hold for all of the incredible things that are coming in. So having a defined circle, you are designed to do things over and over for mastery. But as a manifesting generator, that might switch and that might pivot. It might feel really restrictive and frustrating to you to continue doing the same thing, especially if you've had that soul pull to move on to something else or change direction. The thing to remember with that frustration is the sacral is this really powerful life force energy. It doesn't like to stagnate and it doesn't like to be still. So on a working day when I'm at my desk, if I'm lost in a project or lost in something that I'm really enjoying, I might begin to get frustrated and think, oh, actually, is this for me anymore? But that could just be my sacral and my body saying, I'm really frustrated because you haven't moved. You've been sat here for ages and I really need you to move. So if I got up and I had a little shake, put a song on and a dance and a wiggle and a jiggle and shook up that sacral response like a snow globe, and then maybe change the environment, change the room so I'm not looking at the same thing, I might still really enjoy what I'm doing. I was just frustrated because I hadn't moved. So that's a really important part of working with the sacral energy. So your sacral energy should know what it wants and what it desires, and then be able to explore that through play and through creation. It really responds to like that energy and being energized. So being still and not allowing that sacral to move can cause some unnecessary frustration that might not be about what you're doing, but be about what you're being and not moving. It needs to move. And you will often find with the sacral authority that if you're becoming frustrated or you're banging your head against a problem, especially if you work with something where you are working with problems and solving problems, you might feel like you've hit a brick wall. But if you get up and you move or you go for a walk, you'll suddenly get all of these ideas and you'll have new solutions to all problems because you've allowed your sacral to move. You've allowed that energy to move. So human design is all about energy moving. And it's all about energy moving towards the throat so it can be spoken into existence, manifestation spoken into existence. So it's activated by movement and your sparkle comes from movement. And as I said, because we have that consistent energy, and there is a consistent energy there, the not self can sometimes be giving that energy in a caring role. So that was definitely a narrative for me. The people pleaser came in there because I could be so caring, and because having an open solar plexus, and we'll move on to that in a second, I could give and give and give, feeling what somebody would need and where they were at. That would lead to my burnout because it wasn't in alignment. So as a manifesting generator, like you really are this sparkly, lit up expression of joy. Like, you are supposed to be this sparkly little expression of joy, and people are supposed to feel that, because what you're doing when you're in that, like, I love life and I'm living my life my way from this place of empowerment and love, you are giving permission for everybody else to do that. You can move fast, and you can show other people that you can move fast. Not from a place of, wow, look at me, I can move fast, but just show people what's possible out there. So if you hold any shame for not sticking to things, like, conditioning for me as a child was very much, you will drop this, or you will, what's the human word for it? Quitter. I held so many wounds about quitting things that I didn't want to do, that weren't in alignment anymore, but the authority and grown-ups would say to me, you have to see things through, see them to the end, finish it. You're not designed to do that as a manifesting generator if it doesn't feel right. And there would have been times, absolutely, where there would have been conditioning and patterns coming in, where there might have been a fear of success or a fear of stretching into all of the things that I came here to be. So it could have been a disempowered retreat. And there's other centers that come into play here, so a manifesting generator is this, but there are a lot of nuances in a chart. And the open spleen would have played a lot into my younger self needing perfection. So there would have been times where I'd quit because succeeding was too scary. But if it is aligned, and this is the whole point of human design and understanding your aura and understanding your authority, is when you are empowered and aligned, you can't go wrong. I mean, you can't go wrong anywhere. If I had have quit and been a quitter from this needing to be perfect, it wasn't the right time anyway, because everything is as it's meant to be. And the whole point of human design is this real beautiful empowerment tool. When it was channeled so that we could understand it, so that we could use it for future generations. And we could kind of help future generations not have to go through this long deconditioning process of working within our design. So the more that we can understand it and align to it, and then raise the next generation with it, they won't have to go through so much unpeeling and unpicking. And it probably will be a while before we can get there, because everybody would need to be aware with it and on board with it. But this is a really beautiful way of you connecting to who you are from the whole picture, rather than just needing to know little bits of it or wanting to know things to hack something. Like, this is a really holistic approach to who you are, who you came here to be, and how you get to move through the world in the most aligned way, so that you can feel that sparkly lit up joy of being a manifesting generator, and share that with the world and give them permission to do it too, no matter what how it comes from. So yeah, you were designed to respond to the world, same as generators. And manifesting generator, you were designed to respond to the world. That comes from the circle, because the circle needs to respond. But you need that moment of truth. You really need to respond and try it on. And the moment of truth is that trying it on. Is this an absolute holy yes for me right now? So you might get the desire to do something. I might get the desire to launch a course. And yeah, okay, that's it. I'm ready to do that. I want to do that. But it doesn't mean it's a right now. So that moment of truth allows me to try it on. I'm not going to give up on the idea. I'm just going to bench it. I'm going to put it somewhere and say I'll do that in a little bit. As I've already mentioned, the not self is frustration. There can be a little bit of anger and annoyance in there, because that's the not self of a manifestor, but more often than not, it's going to be frustration. So the more that you can get on board with understanding when you are really lit up, when you are really excited, when you are loving life, the more you will know that you're in alignment and when you're not in alignment. And anything that you are doing from a place of should or could or to please someone else rather than be in your own empowerment, the easier you will find that. And you will notice, like, you might have, when you were younger and you were just in a natural place of alignment, felt a little bit like people would be looking at you, or people would be watching you, wherever you went. And then you might be a little bit like, no, I'm imagining it. But when you were in that like love of life, because your aura is so open, it's so enveloping and so inviting, people are drawn to it. You will turn heads. They will look at you and be like, wow, who's this person? Like, it feels good to look at them. It feels good to be around them. And when you're in the not self, when you're in all of that doubt or all like burdened and burnt out by doing too much and caring too much and giving too much from the shoulds and the, yeah, I might as well because I can, because it's probably easier to do it than have an uncomfortable conversation. That won't happen. Sometimes it may even feel like you're a little bit invisible. And that's certainly been my experience. So you will know, your body will tell you first anyway. And you will get to a point where you get that in your body, but you'll also know by the way you're moving through the world and how people respond to you in as much as you respond to others. So I'd like to just move through how the centers can affect how you move through the world. And we're only going to do this really quickly because this is just a basic overview of who you are. The most important things to understand is being a manifesting generator is really owning that you were never designed to do one thing and just keep going and keep going. That if you did quit things, but you quit them because they weren't meant for you, that was aligned. You weren't a quitter, you weren't a failure, you weren't someone that just gives up when it gets hard. You were moving and pivoting because that's what the energy was telling you to do, and there'll always be a reason. And if you follow it from an aligned place, you'll go, wow, I understand now. That makes perfect sense where I went there and then I went there and I went there and blah, 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 and now I'm here. So follow that. Trust your sacral. Your sacral is this incredible life force, energized battery pack that is meant to be playful and meant to be like full of pleasure and happiness, and you'll feel that. But it loves to move like a child. Like I kind of see the sacral sometimes as this little child. Children have so much energy. They want to move. If you make a child sit still, I mean, look at any child in the schooling system. Most of them are frustrated. And that's what your sacral is. Your sacral likes to move. It likes to be able to experience life from this playful place of not having constrictions and restrictions placed upon it of shoulds and woulds, and like it wants to experiment, it wants to move through the world and feel what feels good. So we're just going to then, once you really get on board with that and own that, into the centers. So these are the centers in human design, and they're all part of the chakra system. Down here is the root. Obviously, the root is chakra root as well. So the root is a pressure center. It's as energy is moving up towards the throat, it's the first center. And this deals with timing and the right timing. It's connected to the adrenals. So if you had a defined root center, it would be very different how you experience this to having an undefined one. And because this is undefined, that's what I'm going to go into. So the root center is obviously a pressure center. So you're going to feel the pressure because the pressure is coming into the body to go up to the throat. If it's undefined, it means that you don't have consistent access to energy in that area. So any undefined centers just mean you don't have consistent access to the energy. If it's defined, meaning it's colored in, then you do have consistent access to the energy. So for the root center is the center of timing, it's the pulse of action, and it is connected to the adrenals. So of course, if you have inconsistent access to the center, then you do have the capacity for more conditioning, and your adrenals may have more of an effect. But remember, this is all about empowering you to work with it. And if you have an undefined root, you were designed to have an undefined root, and the magic that you're bringing into the world needs to move through an undefined root. That's contributing to your unique magic because you were designed perfectly. So having an undefined root means that you won't connect to timing in the same way as someone with a defined root who has constant access to it. You won't have consistent capacity to know when is the right time to go. So you really have to get on board with learning the wisdom of cycles, of working with your body, of what feels good to go and what doesn't feel good to go, and always going back to your authority. Like, you've got the authority of the sacral. Let the sacral inform you of what feels right and what doesn't feel right. Is this a now? Is it not a now? Should I do it then? Should I not do it then? So your root is undefined. So you don't have this consistent energy to know the right timing, but your authority can guide you to when the right timing is. And you're designed to work with the wisdom of being undefined, which is connecting to the cycles and not falling prey to the pressure to move, because feeling pressured to move causes stress, which puts stress on the adrenals. But that's not what you're here for. You're not designed to feel pressured and to feel stress. You were designed to flow with cycles and use your authority to know when to go. If you want to kickstart a project, if you've got an idea in mind and you're just feeling like you don't have that boom, that pulse of action to get you going, you can always try and rope in somebody or get around somebody that has a defined route. And this will work really well because you can kind of hijack their consistent energy to complete your cycle, because undefined centers can feel the energy of defined centers when they're around them. So if you feel like you really do need a pulse to action, then you can buddy up with someone who's got a defined route and magpie off their pulse to action. So you're not designed to be under pressure. And actually, you're not designed for anything that causes high intensity stress. And that is even including how you exercise. And I read something fairly recently that was saying for a lot of people, and I think if people understood human design, then they might change the language around this, that running causes so much cortisol to rush through the body that it causes more stress. My sister absolutely loves running. It doesn't cause her stress. So I think if people understood the root center and how that worked, they might understand how people experience that stress. So for me, I actually used to love running, but if I listened to my body really didn't. It couldn't have screamed louder at me, this isn't for you. And I would never come away from running feeling relaxed in the way that I would to swimming. So it's just the real wisdom of this is connecting to the rhythms and the cycles. And because it's an undefined center, like I said, there is this capacity to drop into the not self. There's a greater capacity for conditioning because we don't have consistent access to the energy and we're feeling other people's energy in there. And that can look like hustling, pushing, creating from stress rather than trusting in the cycles and the timing. And because you need this external pressure to move because you don't have this pulse of action, it sometimes can be creating lack for lack's sake, so that you are forced into movement rather than flowing through the cycles. And the pressure to achieve and to be perfect and achieve from this place of perfection. I don't want to overwhelm you. The most important things really is your type and your authority, really understanding that manifestor vibe and how you move through the world. So I'm going to really quickly whiz through these centers so that you can just get a brief overview. So that's the root center. Yours is undefined, so you will feel other people's. You don't have consistent pulse to action, and you're meant to flow with cycles. Moving into the emotional solar plexus, which is this one. Again, it's undefined, so you don't have consistent access to the energy, but you are meant to grow through the wisdom of this center. The emotional solar plexus is all about emotions and feeling and experiencing emotions. As I said before, because yours is open, you will feel people who have defined centers feel what they're feeling in that center. So this means that people with the open solar plexus really are truly empathetic because they feel the feelings of other people around them and then amplify that. So this can become really uncomfortable and overwhelming, and experiencing this can feel really overwhelming. So as a child, and this can add to the people pleaser of the manifesting generator. So it has an even deeper nuance to that, a deeper flavor with having the upper solar plexus, is when you were a child, you would have really felt that and adopted how you behaved, how you expressed yourself, so as not to feel how uncomfortable they are. And it also can sometimes mean that we will avoid confrontation and difficult conversations because it's uncomfortable to speak it, but then it's even more uncomfortable to feel how the other person experiences that and really feel that in your own body as if you're feeling it, but then you're amplifying it. So it's being really discerning with, again, who you're around and whose energy you're taking into your body, but also really discerning of what is mine and what is someone else's. Is this emotion mine, or am I taking it on and feeling it when it doesn't even belong to me? And just really letting that go. So the wisdom is through knowing how to process and being empowered through that process when you're feeling all the feels, and some of those feels won't even be yours. Someone with a undefined emotional solar plexus, it can feel really zen-like and calm in their presence. Again, center can hold conditioning, and dropping into the not self can look at like numbing out, disconnecting from feelings, disconnecting from your body, looking for distractions, going on your phone. For me, it's vaping. And you can create and attract drama to get this artificial sense of highs and lows. So for me, again, content creator coach, and with the undefined root, I could create senses of lack, senses of drama to push me and force me to bring in what I need, rather than doing that from an empowered place. Avoiding confrontation, which we've already mentioned, people pleasing amplified by the manifesting generator, and fear of the truth, because if you speak your truth and that hurts someone and you're feeling that can feel like a lot. Moving into that beautiful circle, which is the important, super important part of your chart, because it's your authority. This is a motor center, and you've got a motor straight through to the foot, so the energy is going up into the throat. The sacral is the center of our life. It's this beautiful battery pack, this life force energy, and it gets turned on through fun, through play, through sexuality, through pleasure, through really experiencing everything that life has to offer. And it's an instant response. This is really, really important. And I didn't mention this actually in doing the authority. The sacral is a instant felt response in the body of a yes or a no. So when you're making decisions through your authority, and I went off on a bit of a tangent earlier, so it's really remiss of me actually to not have said this sooner, so it's good that we're doing it now. When you feel a yes in your body, you feel it. It's binary. You can't discredit it, and it's in the moment response. So when you're working with the sacral and you're making decisions from the sacral, what you really need to understand is that it's a yes or no response. You can't say, how would you like to do this, and expect the sacral to respond. It has to be a yes or a no question. Would you like your branding to be purple? Would you like your branding to be orange? That's a yes or a no response. Do you want fish? Do you want steak? It's a yes or no response. It needs to be a yes or no response to feel it in the body. Now, a mistake I often made when working with my sacral was I'd get my response. I'd go away and think I'll come back later, and the response was either non-existent or weak, and I wasn't attached to it because I'd had my in the moment response and didn't respond to the response. So be aware of that. It's an in the moment response. You can choose to ignore it. It won't come out very well for you. You'll have a lesson to learn. And I've done it many, many times, and I've even done it fairly recently. Be aware of that in the moment response. Ask it yes or no questions. And when you're working with the sacral and you want to expand your connection to the sacral, get someone else to ask you questions and feel in your body. And if you've never really worked with it before, it might feel really small at first, but it's working with stretching that muscle and your relationship to it to really start to feel, oh yeah, that's a yes. And sometimes a no will be extreme. even more extreme than a yes, and sometimes a no will be non-existent. So for me, I don't generally feel my no's unless it's something where it's a real holy no, don't do this. So that's one to note. Everyone's experience is unique, and this is about you attaching to your experience and how that works for you. So your circle for you is really, really important, because this is your authority. This is how you make decisions in the world. This is how you hold your energy and move through your energy. And it's designed to respond. So it knows what it desires. It requires play and creation. All of the things we've already talked about. The not self of this is that it can burn out if it's taking on things it shouldn't. It can have compromised boundaries if it's in that people pleaser energy of, especially with the open solar plexus. I should do this. It might be easier if I do this. I can do this, so why wouldn't I do this? If it's not a full body felt circle, yes, don't do it. FOMO can come from the sacral. Overcommitting and not giving the support to self that you would give to others are all really important aspects of the sacral center. And as we move through very quickly into the spleen, so the spleen is the center of vitality, sometimes known as like the fear center. It's an awareness center, and way back in time, it would have been one of the most important centers because we were in this energy of survival. But as we're moving through the cycle into the age of Aquarius, moving towards 2027, we're no longer in this state of survival and me. So the spleen is a very important part of the chart and holistic, but it isn't as it was in that we were living from fear. This is an undefined spleen. So the spleen is designed to move fear through for the collective. So you can understand that when we were living in an energy of fear, how important the role of the spleen was to feel that fear and move it through for the collective. And those that came before us have obviously done a great job of this to the capacity that they could for us to be moving through this to the new thing. It's very much an in the moment center as well. So if someone had splenic authority, it would be an immediate yes or no in this center as well. It's reactive and responsive, and is the center of vitality. So having an undefined spleen, which is where we are, works actually really beautifully with having an undefined solar plexus, because an undefined solar plexus is very empathetic energy. Undefined spleen, and the wisdom of having an undefined spleen is this highly sensitive and really intuitive way of connecting to the body and the intuition from other people that have a defined spleen. Because, you know, and I'll keep repeating this, when you're undefined, you can feel the energy of defined people in your undefined center. So when you're around someone who's undefined, like, you are really attuned to, a bit like a medical empath, really attuned to what's going on in their body and their intuition, because it's the center of intuition. But it does mean that you also have a more sensitive immune system, more prone to illness, and a lot more sensitive to any form of stimulant or drug. So you'll feel the effects of caffeine, alcohol, everything. Like, I could drink a lot when I used to drink. I don't now, but I would feel it almost immediately. Anything I do, I will feel almost immediately. It's like seconds. Even being back on nicotine, I will feel that. Especially when I work first thing on a morning, if I will have one, I can feel that move through my body, be much more highly sensitive to feeling in the body. Beautiful wisdom of feeling where defined spleen is holding things in them that can be shifted. So I work a lot with energy and clearing energy, and this undefined spleen is a beautiful and blessed gift for that, for understanding where I'm moving in their body. So anybody that works with energy, Reiki, whatever you attune to, it's a really beautiful to have this wisdom of the undefined spleen to move wherever you're going to go. And you are designed to be more deliberate than spontaneous, because it's undefined. You don't have consistent access to the energy of that center. The disempowerment and knowing if you're in the not self is remaining in situations that you know aren't helpful, that aren't filling your cup and perhaps taking from your cup because it's a habit, or you're connected to an old pattern. So if you're staying in abusive relationships, abusive work environments, anything that you know is unhelpful to you, and you're staying in the energy of that, this can come from having an undefined spleen. So it's just being really aware of that. I'm thinking, okay, how do I be empowered by that knowledge? If I sit and look at where I am and where my energy is at the moment, is this a conscious choice of I'm getting something from this so it makes sense to, or is it a fact that my undefined spleen is playing a part here? So I can sometimes ignore instincts and disconnect from the body. Going over to logic can give over to and decide from fear, resulting in indecision and insecurity in decision. So a lot of indecision can come from the spleen. Again, use your strategy and your authority to empower yourself. Okay, so I might be a little bit more uncertain. It might be a little bit more difficult for me to make decisions. How do I go back to my sacral authority? How do I use that binary yes or no response to help me move from indecision? Because there's no reason for me to be indecisive when I have this incredible tool. Is this for me? Do I want to do this? Should I do? Should. Definitely shouldn't, if there's the should in there. Any question that you can get a yes or no can remove that indecision.